This is Fred Beck from Fred Talks Fighting. Today, I'm very lucky to be joined by Henry Garcia. So, Henry, how are you, mate?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me.
So, it looks like really nice weather in California. Over here in London, it's been raining all day.
No, it's pretty hot out here. It's like 74 degrees. Very, hot weather. Excellent weather. I'm
So, Henry,
outside walking right now.
so, Henry, when did boxing actually start for you? When did you learn to box?
Well, I learned back in Chicago. I was originally from Chicago. I started learning at age 14, actually. And I took interest only because my brother was already involved in it. So I was basically following him. But whatever he did, I did, and it seemed to work. After a while, I decided to learn more about training than actually fighting, because I was okay in boxing. I was undefeated, but as an amateur. But I I let my brother do the other. He took it to another level, of course.
So, you must have found the transition from being a boxer to a coach a lot easier then.
Yeah, easier. I mean, not that much easier, because you got to know the ins and outs of it. You have to understand what works and what can work for your boxer. You also got to understand how to protect him as well. And you have to groom him to a point where he doesn't get hurt. So there's a lot involved in training as well as boxing. So, but when you have both worlds, it makes it that much easier.
And then, being a boxing coach, how do you find the perfect style to suit your boxer?
Well, our theory and has always been to hit and not get hit. You have to really understand what that means. Of course, boxers are going to get hit, but the less hit you get, the better you can perform and the better your career will last. So you have to really understand that to become a true champion or a good boxer. You can't just go in there and think, oh, well, I've got a good punch or a left hook, and you think that's going to make you win. No, there's so much involved. And for us, it was more understanding the science behind it.
So you're a dad and you're a coach. And lots of boxers, when their dad's a coach, they kind of lose out on the dad figure in life. Let's use Teofimo Lopez as an example. He did an interview with ESPN and he was like, my dad's not really my dad anymore. He's just my coach.
To know how to
Dad figure.
switch, you have to know how to switch both roles when you become a dad and a boxer and a trainer, because as a father, you always want to protect your son, but at all costs. But as a trainer, you have to understand that he's done his job and you've done yours. And when Ryan is working out with the whole team, we're all we all understand our role. And when he's fully prepared, I never get nervous. Never. With me, I'm always going to be his dad inside and outside the ring, because I'm there to protect him, again, at all costs. So, I might be different because I know that if my son gets hurt, I'll be the first one to know when to throw in the towel, or to just, let him know, hey, it's not our time.
And then, so
Most fathers won't have that in them, because they always want to see their son to succeed. And the problem with that is that the father wants him more than the boxer or their son. And that's when they can get hurt real bad.
that's very true. That's a very good point. We see lots of amateur boxers where their dad, the father figure, gets too involved and it kind of ruins the fighter, ruins the amateur, putting too much pressure on him.
Absolutely, absolutely. Remember, the key here is to enjoy it, not to feel pressure by it.
And so let's move on to Ryan and Sean. And I'm not going to be one of those cliche guys where I'm going to say like, oh, I've been following them for the entire career. I'm going to be honest. I've only been following Ryan since the Carlos Morales fight.
Right.
And
Well, let me tell you something about that fight. Okay, Carlos Morales, I wasn't in his corner actually 100%. Okay, it's I don't really want to get into too much detail, but I wasn't his main trainer at the time. We had a fallout prior to that, prior to the training camp. So I wasn't there. I only got there because he invited me afterwards, like a week before the actual fight. So I didn't really train him for that. Um, that's why his performance wasn't the best.
That's understandable. I never heard anyone say that before.
Hmm.
And so,
Yeah, that's something that people don't realize what happened.
so Ryan wins by majority decision against Carlos Morales, and you decide to join the Canelo camp. How come you decided to join the Canelo camp, or was it just to take him to the next level?
Well, the answer to that is we realized at the time that his level of competition is going to get better, not going to get any lighter. So we have to be prepared. And Ryan and I discussed it that, hey, we got rid of the guy that was working his corner after the Carlos Morales. Thank God for that. We got rid of him. And I decided, and Ryan, we both decided that we'll take it to another level and um, try to get with the Reynosos, get into the Canelo team if they wanted us. And when we called them, they were open arms. They were like, yeah, we always wanted to help Ryan out. So it was a good decision.
And then we've also got Sean, and I think Sean is a very underrated fighter. I think he's a very good fighter. He's a southpaw. He's in the featherweight division. He was going to go to the Olympics. He decided to turn pro instead. Sean had a good win. Where do you think he goes from here?
Well, he loves competition. So what's going to be next for him is we're going to go up the ladder, and we're going to challenge people that people would never think of fighting. We like to remain active, and we like to fight the best.
So let's just talk about the fight between Ryan Garcia and Luke Campbell that happened just over a week ago. I mean, Ryan Garcia, he's had over 215 amateur fights with only 15 losses. He was a 15-time national champion. And he was fighting Luke Campbell, Olympic gold medalist, southpaw. And lots of people will bring the fact up that Ryan Garcia, he hadn't fought a southpaw in the professional ranks before. Then he would have fought southpaws countless times before in the amateur boxing, in the amateur ranks.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is that my other son, Sean, he's a southpaw. I turned him into southpaw when he was very young. He's actually a right-hander, but I turned him into southpaw when he was like 8.5 years old, 9 years old. And throughout Ryan's career, that's all he saw was a southpaw. So it was perfect for him.
And what was the reason behind turning Sean into a southpaw?
Well, he wasn't growing as tall as Ryan, so I had to give him some type of advantage. I gave him an advantage by turning him into, and I'm glad I did because he won his first national at ringside in Kansas City as a southpaw. So it was perfect.
That's a very good point. Not many people knew that either. So let's talk about the Ryan Garcia versus Luke Campbell fight. And he goes out. I thought he won most of the rounds. But he gets dropped in the second round. What was your reaction for him being dropped?
Action was I got worried. That's where I said about switching hats. I became a father at that time, and I just was looking at him, and my main concern was his legs. I was making sure that he wasn't wobbly, he wasn't, stumbling as soon as he got up. Because if your legs are wobbly or they're just not strong enough, that's when you can get real hurt. But being that he was in tip-top shape, he got up quickly, looked at us and said he's okay, and then I went back to being a trainer.
In the post-fight interview, Ryan called out Gervonta Davis. But do you think that fight could happen next, considering that Tank's with Showtime and Ryan's with DAZN, the Golden Boy?
It's a strong possibility. That's where we're shooting for. That's something that can happen. Both fighters agreed, promoters agreed, advisors agreed. So when you have everybody agreeing, possibilities are positive.
That's the first time both Garcia brothers fought on the same card. Do you think that will happen again?
See, because Sean has a different view, as Ryan. Um, Sean should be more focused, more involved in it, and he took it very lightly, and that's when you can get hurt.
I think Sean's an excellent prospect in boxing.
If he trains really hard and he really dedicates himself, of course, because Sean is excellent as a boxer, excellent. but he has to want it, just like Ryan.
Has Sean got a lack of motivation then?
Absolutely. Ryan is his motivation.
So both Garcia brothers, they started their professional careers at lower weight divisions. Sean started his career at 118 pounds, and Ryan started his career at 130 pounds. Where do you think they're going to end up?
Actually, Ryan started at 130 as a professional. Sean started at 126.
Oh, box rec was wrong.
Yeah, and now they moved up to both 135, and they've been in that weight for a while now.
I expect they'll move up to at least 140. Anyway, I've only got one more question because I know you're a very busy man. Where do you see Ryan and Sean in 5 years' time?
Multiple champions, guarantee. Ryan is going to shock the world. You guys are going to be proud of him. I'm going to be very proud. I'm already proud of him. But I see success on both my boys. You know, it's going to be a good journey for them. Win or lose. You know, remember, losing can sometimes be a win. You know, that's something a lot of people don't understand. So don't be afraid to lose, because champions have lost and they've come back. Look at Fury. You know, look at
Joshua against Ruiz as well.
Josh Thing. I mean, even Roberto Duran, you know, Sugar Ray Leonard. You know, these are massive athletes. You know, awesome. You know, they're just incredible. Even and they bounced back and they won. So, you know, Ryan's no different. Ryan's human. Ryan can lose. I don't want people to think that he's unbeatable. You know, I can tell you this much. It's going to be very hard for you to beat him. I tell you right now, there's no way you're going to beat him easily. There's no way. There's no way. That I can tell you 100%. There's no way. It's not easy to beat him or Sean, you know, that easily. So if people think like that, they're crazy. It takes an army to beat them.
I mean, as Conor McGregor said, a loss can break a fighter, but a win can break a fighter as well. They just need to stay motivated. So Henry, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I know you're a very busy man. So thank you for the interview.
Thank you. You take care. Bye-bye.